Welcome to Season 5 of Outstanding Women Leaders Witty and Wise Conversations. I'm your host, Katie L. Eads, founder and chief owl at Outstanding Women Leaders Professional Coaching and Podcast, an organization dedicated to empowering women in leadership, relationships, and life. Owl is on a mission to host 100 million witty and wise conversations that inspire you, disrupt the way you think, and stir your soul into aligned action. That inspiration begins with a set of rules to guide our conversation today. Nobody gets to be right. Nobody gets to be wrong. Everybody gets to be vulnerable. And my favorite rule, everything is included. We do not edit here. This conversation is exactly what it needs to be in this moment in time. We've asked our guests to join us via video to allow us to create authentic connection. Eyes are the window to the soul. You will be seen here. You'll be heard. There is space for you. When this conversation comes to a close, I will ask our guests 3 questions. If you've tuned in before, you know what they are. If you haven't, you don't want to miss them. But enough about me. Today, I'm excited to welcome outstanding women leader Nikki Duncan, founder of Soulshine Days. Have you ever wondered what truly makes your soul happy? For Nikki, it's the magic of nature, feeling the sun, listening to the birds, and connecting with the energies around her. Through her journey of foraging herbs and flowers, making remedies, teas, and tinctures, she's learned that nature is the ultimate teacher in healing mind, body, and soul. Nikki is here to share her wisdom, her creations, and stories to help you find yourself in nature too. From natural skincare you can make at home to soulful red clay tie-dyed shirts that let your spirit shine, Nikki invites you to walk beside her as she learns, creates, and inspires. Together, she invites you to reconnect, express yourself, and discover the little things that truly make your soul shine. Welcome, Nikki.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
Doing great. It's always lovely to have a little piece of Georgia here on the podcast.
Yes,
And
yes. I'm a Georgia peach.
yes, and sharing all about Soulshine. And before we jump in to talk about your current business, tell me about how you get started. What every woman has a great backstory before they build a business. Tell us a little bit about yours.
So I worked in corporate America for 15 years, for Bank of America, and it was a very structured life. And for a long time, it was exactly what I needed. As I got older and I had more children, it was a lot for me, and I realized that I was very confined and I couldn't be myself. I remember seeing people come in that just seemed free, if that even makes sense. I'm like, man, one day. And then one day my grandmother got sick and she passed away. And I realized how short life was. She got sick, and 11 days later, she was gone. And it kind of spiraled me into like this place of darkness that I had never been before. And I didn't really know how to get out of it. And after a few months of like some really dark days, the spring came and I went outside and I found something. And I didn't really know what it was. And just through my curiosities and my own healing, I realized that we lose what makes our soul shine. And as women, mothers, people in general, we forget about ourselves. And soul shine was that journey for me. It was how I began to find myself again. So,
Hmm. People do forget that they are a soul, even. I always wonder in corporate, do people in corporate know that they're a soul? They're so serious with their corporate numbers and their corporate things, but do they remember that this is just a corporate game? And it sounds like you did have that remembering. How did you get into these really cool? If you haven't been to her website, you will after this conversation, where she takes Georgia clay and tie-dye shirts. And what's so fascinating to me is when I had that Reiki session, she described my energy as a very fancy tie-dye. And nothing is fancier than putting clay into the tie-dye shirts. Like, how do you even discover that that's a thing?
well, here where I live, t-shirts, the bleach thing, the sublimation was all kind of crazy. And everybody was making shirts. And when I was transitioning from leaving my job I have 4 kids, so I knew I had to do something, and I had always cleaned on and off, and so that was kind of one thing. But I was like, well, I could do t-shirts. I like people. I can do this. And so I started making t-shirts with a friend, but it was just too bland. I didn't love it. It didn't make my soul shine. It didn't make me happy. And I have a lot of clay in my yard. And one day I was just like, I bet this will dye a shirt. And it worked. And so it took some time to kind of perfect the method because even though Georgia red clay does stain, it is still a type of dye. So I had to work with it a little while to kind of get it to where it wouldn't just wash right out. But yeah, it was really just kind of a how can I set myself apart? And I've always prided myself on being from Georgia. So I thought, what better way than to make shirts with Georgia red clay?
Mm. And for those listening that are follow human design, Nikki is a 1-3 profile and is a one line. She is here to create something new and it has to be hers. And it can be tweaking the way we do things, like a tie dye, but it has to be uniquely yours. And that is what's so fascinating to me about even hearing your journey. And you really truly did go out into your backyard and create something new. And uh, it's also interesting to hear you talk about how all the things that make your soul shine are not man made. They are made by nature itself. Tell us a little bit more about your soul shine shop that you have and what makes your soul shine.
Well, what I realized when I was like, okay, so I'm going to make these shirts. How am I going to get this to the people? And so festivals really kind of became like the way. And what I thought about was, what do you do when you buy yourself a new shirt? What do you do when you get a new face scrub or a new body wash? Like, you can't wait to use it. You get that shirt and you're like, you put it on, you feel good. You're smiling from your soul. Like, that's where you're smiling from. And when you get that new bath soak or you get, you know, something like that, that's for you. That's not for someone else. And so I started creating more items that would be specific to a person because when you buy my items, you're going to spend time on yourself. You're going to take that. You're not going to let that smell good bath soak sit for a month. You're going to take that time and you're going to take a bath. You're going to spend time on yourself. And so the shop is full of items that will make you stop and spend time on yourself or possibly even for someone else that may need that time. And so I have self-love boxes that have body wash, you get an exfoliator, you get a scrub, and then we have the bath soak, which came from my daughter who can't use bubble baths or anything and very girly. And so this was something we created for us. And so you have those items, but then you have your intention jars and you have your shirts, and all of those things again point back to your soul. So that's kind of what you'll find on soulshinedays.com is those self-love and those soul shine items. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah. It's when I hear you talk about it, I like Bath and Body Works immediately popped up to me as like that place that we were sold when we were growing up of where you go to get all your products. And ultimately, what you were doing was just slathering chemicals onto your body. And those smells always made me sneeze as well.
Yeah.
And my nose is so sensitive to scents. And so, what I really loved about your products and what you were doing is that you were bringing nature into the products and you were leaving the chemicals out of them as well. And part of it sounds like was driven just by a need for your own family.
Well, and it started with backyard medicine, like being in my yard, growing a garden. It kind of starts with that awakening. Like once you can't go back. And when I realized that dandelion was like the best thing for our skin and our body, and it's in our yards, and people are putting poison on it, and then plantain. Plantain is another huge, anti-inflammatory that we can use for different things. And so I realized how many things I could actually make easily out of my own yard. And yes, it took time to learn the process of that, but it really came from that awakening and then realizing my daughter had issues with the scent, but she also has eczema. So, we were changing detergents, we were changing everything, and it just made sense. A mentor I had told me, learn with what you use because you're going to learn better when it's something you actually use. And so I truly did start things for my family. And then that, like, when I went to these festivals the first few times, people loved it. And people like that idea of putting something simple and just clean on their body, but you still get a little bit of a smell, but it's a natural smell. I don't add any scents or fragrances other than like essential oils. And so everything is its own smell. So,
Yeah, and that is the future that people are headed. It's fun to see everything come full circle. We got rid
yes,
of all the herbalists at the during the Industrial Revolution and we shut all that down and called it quackery. And now we're recognizing full circle. Oh, actually, these are the things that have sustained us for thousands and thousands of years. And the more that archaeologists find Neanderthal bones that were 70 and 80 years old, like we recognize, oh, actually, people did live a long time, and this is how they were able to do so. I have a degree in history, so I always think about the Egyptians and honey. If we knew that honey was an antibacterial that you could have just spread on every wound in the Civil War, we wouldn't have had as many people die from gangrene,
sure.
for example, right? So you're in your backyard, you're making shirts, you're making skincare, and then you have these beautiful intention jar bars. And if you tune in to hear about Halloween, and you'll hear us chat a little bit about what we'll be doing there. The intention jar bar was a really cool thing that drew me in. I also was drawn to your shirts when I first saw you. I always call myself a t-shirt snob a little bit after owning a CrossFit gym. I have a particular way that I like a shirt to look, and your shirts were phenomenal. I did buy one
Thank
that
you.
day. It was too hot to stand out there that day for the intention jar bar. But tell us a little bit about you are the right person to help people set intentions as you're about creating new things. But what exactly is an intention jar bar, and how do people even connect with getting their own little jars at their house?
What I love about intentions is there's no right or wrong. I think when you look at the big picture, we live in a society where we're told we're wrong or we're right, or you should do this or you have to do that. And intentions are yours. You can't lie about your intentions. You can try to lie to yourself, but you really can't. And when I started thinking about soul shine, um, and as it grew and it progressed, I started learning about intentions and I like to understand. So I looked up the definition. And intention breaks down to destined. And things that you're destined for are predetermined. And when I found that and I read that, it clicked together for me because what truly makes our soul shine is the things we're truly meant to be. So when you set an intention, you are connecting to your true nature. And to find that, is a journey and everybody's journey is different, but the intention jar bar starts you. What it does is it reminds you that yes, cinnamon could mean abundance and luck, but cinnamon can also remind you of your grandmother, and it could remind you of days as a child cooking and some of the happiest times of your life, and maybe you haven't baked anything for 10 years and you're like, man, that really gave me joy, that gave me happiness. The messy kitchen, the flour everywhere, but that was something that made you happy. And I think that those are the things that we forget. So when we do an intention jar, I like to invite people to remember why they're here. Why did you come? What are we, you're in this moment, you're here. Why are you here? What are you searching for? What do you feel like you've lost something? Or are you possibly knowing what an intention jar is? You're on that next step. So you need something to encourage you. I'm a person, I need the big neon sign, like, do this, go this way. And so for me, an intention jar is a reminder. I will leave them in my car or sit them in my bathroom by my bed. And when I see that intention jar, I remember what I felt when I made it. And so, the intention jar is really a tool, a reminder to help you stay focused and remember what it is that you are intended to do? What is it that you, not as a mom, not as a wife, not as a friend, but you and yourself and your soul, what do you want and what really makes you happy? And that's where I think the power of the intention jar is.
And that is why I found it so powerful that I thought we need to have this at Halloween. And for those of you listening that are like, what's Halloween, Katie? You can go to owlprofessionalcoaching.com and you can find it right there under events. Halloween is a 3-day retreat that kicks off on Halloween. And on Sunday, before you head home in the morning, you will be working with Nikki to set your intentions. And the way you described it as that reminder, that really is that symbol where we set it down, and anytime we walk past it, we remember and connect to the feelings that were there when we created those intention jars. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you have people put 11 elements into the jar.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, it's hard to market that. And so I was like, what would I want? How would I want to do this if we have to put a monetary value on this and we have to bring this into a package? So the items I have herbs. I like to travel. And so I have sand and water and driftwood and seashells from many different beaches, leaves and moss and things I've collected. And so the set item is 11. But what I tell people is if you feel called to have two or three of those elemental items, you can have those things. This is a feeling, this is an energy, but we start with 11, and you get your herbs, and then you get to pick your elemental items, and then everyone gets a mini manifestation kit because we need that on the go. And so yeah, it starts with 11 items.
Yeah, and for those that are familiar with numerology, sacred geometry, 11 is a master number, which is always a nice number to bring when you're setting intentions. And I appreciate that you also brought in the definition for us. And it really ties nicely to what we're going to be doing on Saturday for Halloween of what is your destiny? What
I
is
didn't know
that
that.
thing that's predetermined? Yes. And human design and gene keys is a beautiful way to kind of explore what is your destiny. And when I read my gene keys, it said in my purpose in relationships is to leave sparks wherever I go. And if I were, it would be a travesty for me to end up in some backwater somewhere, which was really funny because I met my ex-husband at a place called Backwaters. And then I almost bought a house in a place called Sweetwater, if you know Tennessee.
I do.
And the universe was like, no, we've already told you, you are not to be in some backwater. So Halloween, the Owl's Inn was 10 minutes from downtown Knoxville, which gets me just far enough away to feel like I can have my backwater home, but I'm still in the thick of it. And I do believe it was destiny for us to meet, and everybody that comes to Halloween will also be part of their destiny as well. Tell us a little bit more about things that you do to help people's souls shine. I know that you have a women's circle group that you are expanding virtually. You're looking at adding more things. Tell us a little bit about how people can soak up your soul and shine along with you.
Well, I have started a women's group here. I do it at my personal residence for now. It's a very small group, but I realized that in the in between the festivals that I wasn't getting people. And women are not supposed to be alone. We are not meant to be alone. And so finding ways to bring us together, whether that be, a women's circle, a moon ritual. I also, there is a kava den that I am going to be. I actually just spoke with the lady yesterday. I'm going to be doing a holistic day in November in Rome, Georgia. They have one there once a quarter, and I'm learning to get involved with more people in my local community. And so I will be having some events there at the Covadin, where maybe we'll do intention jars. Maybe we'll do make your own oracle cards. I think that there's something about putting our hands and our energy into what we're doing. And so creating more events to where which is what I'm working on now, that structure of how I can bring people together and explore their spirituality. Because I really think, again, it starts with us and it starts on the inside. And no matter what you believe, we all have intentions. And so finding ways to bring women together to look at their intentions, their goals, their dreams, and just see them. That is kind of like what I'm working on now. So there's not a ton of ways to get to me right now that way, because I do have the women's circle here now, but I am working on getting the Zooms created and getting some more local events so that I can bring more of this to the people.
Mm. And if people wanted to soak you up on social media, where can they go to
Oh,
find you?
yes. I am Soulshine Days on YouTube, and that is my website. But on TikTok and Instagram, it is my Soulshine Days because I'm sharing my experiences with you, my family, my travels, and my hard days. Because I think that we have to acknowledge that too. It's a balance. And I think that we see a lot of, oh, it's perfect and happy, and this is how, spirituality is, and it's not.
Mm.
It's a train wreck sometimes. And so sharing my journey on TikTok and Instagram has really been healing for me as well, because I have found more women like me.
A good reminder that the soul came here to soak up wisdom and experiences just as much as it came to play.
I did. Yes, yes.
As we wrap up here today, I have my three questions I ask all of our guests. My first question, Nikki, what is your superpower?
Oh, I have ADHD. Yeah, yep. I do believe that once I fully tap into this, I will be unstoppable. I do. I mean, you've told me I'm a manifesting generator, so you've already helped me have that, some more power with this, but I do believe that um when we can live happily with our demons or our negative side, that we've reached a different part of ourselves, an acceptance that we may have. And ADHD has been hard for me. I felt for a long time that it was the worst quality that I have, but I do believe that it makes me the person I am. It drives me, and my difficulties and the things I struggle with make me human. You know? That makes sense.
Yeah. What is your purpose?
My purpose is to show people that we all have a light. We all have something to share. It doesn't have to be sunshine and rainbows. It doesn't have to be what the world says it has to be, but I believe that I can help people to see that they have a light and they are meant to shine in whatever capacity that is, whether it's in their own family, their own group, or outward to the world, but to help people see that they can shine as well and to help them find that and what makes them happy. That's what I think my purpose is.
Hmm. I can see why we met and clicked so well. My spark purpose is to be that spark that
Yes.
yours is to help them see the light. It's a two-part process, right? You
Yes,
can
it,
you
it
can have
is.
all
It
kinds of
is.
sparks going, but if you can't see your light, you're gonna miss it.
Yeah.
Yeah. My last question is, what's next for you?
Well, I am expanding Soulshine, and I think for the first time in almost 3 years, because I started this 3 years ago, I have a direction. And I believe it's taken me going through the trenches, making the mistakes, and learning what I didn't want to really kind of learn what I want. And so Soulshine is going to be out more. I'm going to be in the public more. I want to offer more of these, not necessarily one-on-ones, but the online, to where I can reach more people on a more intimate level, and not the TikTok and the Instagram where you've got thousands of people looking at your videos, but a smaller group of women where we can interact, and just, you know, getting out there. And Halloween, that's like the biggest thing. I'm super excited for that. And then I have a holistic day in November. The winter is hard with festivals because it gets really cold. But I'm preparing to possibly have subscription boxes starting at the beginning of the year, and some more fun ways that you can explore your spirituality each month and kind of help you, learn with me. I'm learning and I want to extend that to other people and let them know that there's no really starting point with spirituality. We just have to start.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, that kind of ties very nicely to there's never any right or wrong intentions, and
yeah.
no wrong way. So if you want to experiment with being a soul and spirituality, you can find Nikki at soulshinedays.com. Is that right?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Check out her website and interact with her there. I always give our guests the last word. What would you like to leave our audience with today?
Um, be patient with yourself and the universe because sometimes it's not no, it's just not yet. And I think that's the hardest part. But never give up dreaming. Never stop believing in yourself and never let the magic go because it's there. And even though it's harder sometimes and the path is longer, you will get there. What's meant for us finds us. So I believe that.